Welcome back to the video lecture on East Asia's cultural influence on the law of the sea. This time, we are going to working on the recent trend of the attitude of Asia states toward third-party adjudication in a case of Korea. In this time, we are focused on the very specific issues of the United States-China, Taiwan Strait confrontation, and Korea. The enduring conflict between Russia and Ukraine in Europe has had extensive and profound global ramifications. China's forceful occupation of Taiwan, which was previously only considered as a hypothetical, is now being discussed from various perspectives. The security situation on the Korean peninsula has been rapidly evolving due to the North Korea still recurring the armed protests and provocations, and that these issues still they maintain. After U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan in early August in 2022, despite the Chinese threats of military retaliation over the visit, Chinese President Xi Jinping emphasized at the 20th National Congress on October 16 that he would not give up the use of force against Taiwan, causing further strain on the U.S.-China relations and pushing the Taiwan conflicts into a climax. The enduring conflict between the United States and China concerning Taiwan holds significant implications for Korea, encompassing two primary aspects. The first, it raises pertinent questions concerning the international legal status of the Taiwan Strait, situated between China and Taiwan. And second, it necessitates a careful examination of the roles that Korea and the United States Forces Korea, a so-called the USFK, may have to undertake if China resort to force against Taiwan, a scenario that could likely prompt U.S. intervention. The Taiwan Strait status within the framework of international law emerges as a key concern amid escalating the tensions between China and Taiwan. The historical sensibility and complexity surrounding the Taiwan's sovereignty and territorial integrity, the demand thoughtful analysis of the legal principles governing territorial dispute and self-determination issues. The outcome of international community's response to Chinese assertive actions toward Taiwan may set a precedent and impact the similar dispute elsewhere, entailing ramifications beyond the imminent the region. A strait, by definition, is a narrow natural waterway that serves as a conduit between two substantial bodies of water. In this context, the Taiwan Strait assumes paramount significance as it facilitates maritime connections between the East and South China Sea, serving as a pivotal route to the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean for not only China and Taiwan, but also Korea and Japan. Spanning an average width of 180 kilometers, this crucial water passage accommodates substantially the daily traffic volume, with approximately 600 to 800 cargo ships and 900 to 1,200 the aircraft trespassing its expanse. The strategic importance of the Taiwan Strait, akin to the Malacca Strait, warrants close scrutiny, given that any restrictions to maritime traffic routes along these vital passages could potentially imperil the Chinese interests and have broad implications for the international community. Its location and significance are further accentuated by its function as a tactical military vantage points for China vis-a-vis the United States, thereby magnifying its geopolitical value manifold. Concerning these factors, the Taiwan Strait emerges as a geopolitical focal point, underpinning both the economic and military interests for regional and global actors alike. Its significance as a critical maritime passageway underscored the necessity for comprehensive understanding of the complex dynamics and implications that surround this crucial waterway. The tension between the United States and China regarding the Taiwan Strait manifests prominently in their contrasting interpretations of the Strait's legal status. This divergence of the views highlights a fundamental conflict between the United States' advocacy for a hindered navigation through the strait, emphasizing the principle of the freedom of navigation, and Chinese assertion of regulated transit passage rights, contending that coastal nations should have control over navigation within the strait. This contrasting divergence underscores the intricate and contentious dynamics surrounding Taiwan Strait issue, with far-reaching implications for regional and international relations. In accordance with the U.S. Navy's commanding guidelines on naval operations law, the U.S. largely classified the maritime zone into domestic, for example, internal waters and territorial sea and archipelagic waters, and international bodies of water, for example, continuous zone, exclusive economic zone, and high seas. Accordingly, the U.S. classifies the Taiwan Strait as international waters, whereby high seas freedoms, including freedom of navigation and overflights, are guaranteed to all states. On the other hand, China maintained that U.S. position is intended to threaten Chinese sovereignty and assert control over Taiwan. Notably, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson expressed Chinese opposition against U.S. establishment of the Taiwan Strait as an international body of water. China claimed that UNCLOS and relevant Chinese laws delineate the Taiwan Strait waters as extending from both shores to the middle of the state, with various zones such as internal waters, territorial sea, and continuous zone, and EEZ. While China asserted its sovereignty and jurisdiction over the strait, it acknowledged respecting the lawful rights of the other countries and relevant waters. This stance is seen as an effort to prevent U.S. entry into the Taiwan Strait. In a similar vein, Taiwan aligns with the United States, maintaining that Taiwan Strait is an international body of water subject to international law beyond its territorial waters. The U.S. stance on high seas and international waters can be interpreted in part as a response to Chinese effort to assert Taiwan Strait as part of its internal waters. The U.S. perceived the collecting and conflicting status of the Taiwan Strait not merely as a disagreement in the interpretation and application of the international law, but as a deliberate endeavor by China to assert control over the strait. Conversely, a Chinese position on the Taiwan Strait should be seen as a reaction to the U.S. emphasis on freedom of navigation. Chinese utilization of the classification within the convention governing various maritime areas appears aimed at securing control over the coastal state in the region. These opposing perspectives reveals a complex interplay of geopolitical interests and legal interpretations surrounding Taiwan Strait issues. In the event of the armed conflict over Taiwan, adherence to international law necessitates the preservation of the third-party state freedom of navigation, regardless of whether such conflicts occurs during peacetime or wartime. However, for straits that are composed solely of territorial waters, with the international laws grant coastal state the power to close the strait and prohibit the third-party passage is up for the debate until now. However, the question of whether coastal states possess the authority to close and deny passage through strait solely composed of the territorial waters remains a subject of contention within the realm of the international law. This matter holds the security implications for Korean Strait, situated between Korea and Japan, which shows the striking similarities with the Taiwan Strait as an international strait, allowing unrestricted navigation for foreign vessels. Although the international legal status of the Taiwan Strait is an important issue, Korea must carefully consider when and whether it is necessary to actively criticize the Chinese unilateral obstruction of navigation and to assert navigational freedom in the Taiwan Strait. The security of the Korean Peninsula is intricately linked to the prospects and perspectives role that Korea and United States versus Korea might undertake in an event of the China resorting use of force against the Taiwan and subsequent U.S. intervention. Despite the U.S. forces Korea, USFK's primary mandate of defending against North Korean threat, its strategic adaptability implies the potential shift and responsibility contingent upon the development in Northeast Asia. Such adaptability could involve the deployment of the USFK beyond the Korean Peninsula should disputes arise in the region. In May 2022, through a joint statement at the summit in Seoul, President Yoon and President Biden emphasized the importance of the preserving peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait for the security and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific region. Later on, the Republic of Korea and United States Security Council meeting, in short SCM, also included, for the first time, the issues of Taiwan in its joint statement. Although the basic response to Chinese use of force against Taiwan has been established, neither general nor specific roles of Korea and the USFK in Korea have been reported. In formulating the general and specific roles Korea and the USFK are to assume, Korea must first establish its position on this matter. In this context, the two key points warrant emphasis. The first, a firm position exists to the USFK's participation in military actions alongside the US military at the Taiwan Strait in the event of the conflict. Consequently, it becomes imperative to re-evaluate the South Korean military's plans concerning the USFK's strategic flexibility, in addition to devising response measures in anticipation of any potential USFK's deployment to the Taiwan Strait. Second, the freedom of navigation, in short FON, that some countries, including the United States, Australia, the United Kingdom, are employing in the South China Sea, are based on that states the interpretation and application of the existing international ocean laws and does not necessarily reflect their military position. However, it is crucial to recognize that in time of emergency and armed conflict, the deployment of force renders the application of freedom of navigation inapplicable, as it is inherently associated with peacetime operations. An awareness of these disparities in international legal perspective becomes indispensable in navigating the complexities of this issue. The US-China conflict over the international legal status of Taiwan Strait stems from the fundamentally opposing perspectives. The China prioritizes the rights of coastal nations and adherence to the coastal laws, while the US places paramount importance on upholding the principle of freedom of navigation system. As a legal framework governing navigation and international straits underpins maritime order stability, the Chinese justification for denying other countries' navigation rights in the Taiwan Strait remain very dubious. The Chinese endeavor to assert control over all activities in the Strait as part of its pursuit of Taiwan under the One China policy raised concerns. However, it may be in Korea's best interest to proactively challenge the intention behind the Chinese actions at this stage. The caution and a thorough understanding of the complexities surrounding Taiwan Strait issue are imperative in navigating the dynamics of this conflict. Chinese approach to USFK's strategic flexibility as a US ally should be decoupled from involvement in the Taiwan conflict. Upholding peace and security in the Taiwan Strait demands Korea's adherence to the fundamental One China policy, which hold a pivotal significance for East Asia's security landscape and Chinese diplomatic ties with the global community. Given the delicate intricacies surrounding the Taiwan Strait, exercising diplomatic security, practicing restraint, and adopting strategic ambiguity emerge as indispensable elements in preserving the existing status quo. By embracing such an approach, Korea can navigate the complexities of the Taiwan issue while contributing to regional stability and avoiding potential entanglements that may disrupt the fragile balance in the region. Thank you very much for your attention.